So the form you'll need to complete for your Canada Child Benefit application is the RC66 form. Now, if you've downloaded the form, this is what Adobe opens to you. And to access the form, you just need to double click on the little push pin right here. And that will open the form for you. So let's quickly go through the form to see what they'll need. So you can read through all of this. It stipulates here, find out if this form is for you, who should fill this form in. And then for more information, you can go to canada.ca/CRA-benefits. The information that they'll need from you is step 1, the social insurance number. Now, if you do not have a SIN, then you can look at booklet T4114 and check the how to apply. If you do have your SIN already, you can just complete it here. Then your first name, your last name, your date of birth, and this will be the mother's details that you fill in here, because the mother is seen as the primary caregiver of the children. And then they'll also need to know your language correspondence, English or French, and then your phone number for home, work, or your cell. Step 2 is your address, your mailing address and your home address. Now you can just complete one here and then click here to say same as mailing address. So they would need your apartment number, your street number, your PO box number, then your city, the province or country if outside of Canada, and then the postal or zip code. And then they ask, have you moved from a different province or territory within the last 12 months, yes or no? If you answer yes, you just need to include the province where you've moved from and the date that you've moved, because obviously they need to work out your benefits according to where you are currently residing. And if it's no, then you can just click no. Then your home address, you can click here same as mailing address, which makes it very easy. Step 3 is your marital status, and here you can select the box if you're married, living common law, separated, divorced, widowed, single, and then enter the date the selected status began. So the date that you got married or divorced or anything like that, you just complete the year, month and day. If you selected married or live in common law, enter your spouse or common law partner's information. So they also need the SIN, the SIN number, your social insurance number of your partner, as well as their first name, last name and date of birth. And then if your spouse or common law partner's address is different from yours, enter it here, otherwise their address will be updated to match the address indicated in step 2. Step 4 is your citizenship status. So they ask, have you been a Canadian citizen for the last 12 months? Yes or no? And has your spouse or common law partner, if you have one, been a Canadian citizen for the last 12 months, yes or no? And if the answer is no to either of these questions, you have to fill out Form RC66SCH. And you can download that form right over here or from the website. I will also show you how to complete that form. Then step 5, newcomer or returning resident of Canada. They ask, within the last 2 years, did you become a newcomer to Canada or return after an absence of at least 6 months? So you can answer yes or no, whichever is applicable to you. And then within the last 2 years, did your spouse or common law partner, if you have one, become a newcomer to Canada or return after the absence of at least 6 months, yes or no? And then if you answer yes to either of these questions, you will also have to fill out Form RC66SCH. Then step 6 is the information about your children or child. And they state if the child started living with you more than 11 months ago, you need to provide supporting documents. See what to attach to this form on page 5. Now, if you're doing this application just after you arrived in Canada, you don't have to provide all of the supporting documents. If you have stayed in Canada longer than 11 months, then you need to complete all of the rest of the documents that they need. Now, it's just basic documents. We'll go through that as well, and we can see what is needed. And then it states primarily responsible for the care and upbringing of the child. Being primarily responsible for the care or upbringing of the child means that you are responsible for such things as supervising the child's daily activities and needs, making sure the child's medical needs are met, and arranging for the child's care where necessary when the child lives with you. Shared custody, this normally happens after a separation or a divorce. We consider you to be a shared custody situation if the child lives 40 to 60% of the time with you and the rest of the time with another individual at a different address. For more information on shared custody, you can look at booklet T4114. Do not give information about a child to whom you have already applied unless the child left your care and has now returned, or the percentage of time the child is in your care has changed. Then they need the information of your child. That would be the first name, the last name, the gender, female, male, and their date of birth, as well as the city of birth and the province or territory of birth, or country if outside of Canada. You must be primarily responsible for the care and upbringing of this child when the child lives with you. Then they ask, does the child live with you most or all of the time, yes or no? And then if yes, enter the date the child started living with you most or all of the time. If the child has lived with you since birth, tick the box right over here. Otherwise, if there was a period that the child or children were not with you, then you can just state the date that they joined you. It says, if no, select the box that represents the percentage of time the child lives with you. So you can say, is it more than 60%, between 40 to 60%, or less than 40%? If that is applicable, just click and state the year, month, and date. And then they ask you the same questions as with the first child. And then if you're applying for more than 2 children, you can use Form RC66-1 for additional children. And they say that you can also attach a separate sheet of paper with the information asked above if you have more than 2 children to complete the information for. Then step 7, signature. They need you to sign that the information is correct and complete, so your signature with the date that you're completing it. And then as well, if your marital status is married or living common law, your spouse or partner needs to also sign and date this form. And that is all the information that they need. Then we can look at all the documentation that you can attach to your form for your application. And if you are in the following situation, this is the documents that they need from you. So if you answered no to either of these questions in step 4, have you been a Canadian citizen for the last 12 months? Has your spouse or common law partner, if you have one, been a Canadian citizen for the last 12 months? Then you also need to complete Form RC66SCH. The next one, if you answered yes to either of these questions in step 5, you also need to complete Form RC66SCH. And then if they have not paid benefits to anyone for this child and the child is in any of the following situations, then they need the proof of the birth of the child. So if the child is 1 year of age or older and was born outside of Canada, so you would provide the proof of the birth of the child, and that is for each of the children. And if the child started living with you more than 11 months ago, you need to provide the following documents as well. So they need a proof of birth for each child. They need a proof that you resided in Canada, at least 3 documents. They need proof that you were the person who is primarily responsible for the care and upbringing of the child, at least 3 documents. And proof of citizenship or immigration status in Canada for you and your spouse or common law partner. And then if you are applying for more than 2 children, you need to complete Form RC66-1, additional children, or attach a separate sheet of paper with the information requested in Step 6. Now let's quickly see what they are looking at examples for acceptable documents. As proof of birth, you have to provide a photocopy of 1 document with the child's first name, last name, and date of birth, such as their birth certificate or birth registration, a hospital record of birth or record from a physician, a nurse, or a midwife, a copy of their passport, the record of landing or confirmation of permanent residency issued by the IRCC, the citizenship certificate, notice of decision of a temporary resident permit, certificate of Indian status card, or provincial identity card. As proof that you resided in Canada, you have to provide a photocopy of at least 3 documents, such as a lease agreement, a rent receipt, a household bill for gas, electricity, cable, or telephone, your driver's license, vehicle registration, or car insurance, a membership in social or professional organizations. But you have to supply at least 3. Then, as proof that you were the person who is primarily responsible for the care and upbringing of the child, you have to provide a photocopy or at least 3 documents of the following: a letter from the daycare or school authority indicating the child's home address and contact information on file, a letter from a social worker, a band council, or a resettlement officer stating that they have personal knowledge that the child lived with you for the period you indicated, a registration form or a receipt from an activity or club that the child was enrolled in for the period you indicated, a court order, decree, or separation agreement that explains the type of custody arrangement you have, or any other document showing that the child lived with you for the period you indicated. So they would need 3 documents to indicate that the child lived with you. Then getting benefits and credits when in an abusive or violent relationship, you can read through this and then what is required for you to complete. And you can go to canada.ca/child-family-benefits and select leaving an abusive or violent situation to find out what is needed to complete when you're in this situation. Then what to do now? Make sure all steps of this form are filled out. If applicable, attach the documents mentioned. Make a photocopy of your form and then you can send it to the applicable station, or you can apply online and upload all the documents there. Now, after you apply, they say that unless you tell us otherwise, the information you give us on this form will be used for all programs, including federal, provincial, and territorial programs. Once we have processed your application, we will send you a Canada Child Benefit Notice. The notice will show you are eligible, how much you will get, if applicable, and what information was used to calculate the amount. The CRA's goal is to issue you notice of payment, if applicable, within 11 weeks of receiving your filled out paper application. Now the online application will be quicker. We may also review your situation at a later date to confirm that the information you gave us has not changed. Now, getting your payment, direct deposit is the fast, convenient, and secure way to get your CRA payments directly into your account at a financial institution in Canada. So you have to have a bank in Canada already. For more information and ways to enroll, you can visit the website right over here. You need to do your taxes on time every year so that they can calculate your payment, and even if you had no income in the year, you still need to submit a zero income tax form, as well as your spouse or partner needs to complete their taxes every year on time to continue receiving these benefits. And make sure that your personal information is up to date, as this could affect your payment. So great. And if you need more information about if your spouse or common law partner is a non-resident, you can also read here, and you can also call them to find out more information. So this is the form that you need to complete to apply for Canada Child Benefit.